Bonjour, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another video. The Wii U failed because it didn't give people a reason to upgrade. With the Switch 2, Nintendo is taking a big swing. They're repeating something that they've historically failed at, making a successor to one of their most famous consoles. The NES, SNES, the Wii, Wii U, now the Switch, and the Switch 2. The SNES didn't go as expected, but I wouldn't say it was a complete failure either. I'm just going to be focusing on the Wii U. If you want a short answer, the Switch 2 has launched much better than the Wii U already. But some of the same warning signs are back, like heavy reliance on re-releases, shaky gimmicks, and a launch lineup that is not screaming next gen. But let's break it down. The Wii U had a huge branding problem. Many people thought it was just an add-on for the Wii, and the name doesn't help it either. The Wii U. What were they thinking? I get they wanted to do a slightly different name because it's quite boring to go Wii 2, and they've never been the boring type. They've always been the type to try and something new, but it obviously didn't work. The only real pull factor of the Wii U was the gamepad, but very few games used it well, and most of the games that did were kind of forced to by Nintendo, and it kind of made it worse. A lot of games could have done without the gamepad use. The launch lineup was pretty thin, and low sales in the first couple months made third-party developers bail, and so in the end, the system ended up with a very tiny library, and the sales reflect that. I don't know why my voice just did that. I am not a 13-year-old boy. I am not a 13-year-old boy. The Wii U only moved about 13 million units in its entire lifetime, compared to the Wii's 101 million. The original Switch had a clear hook. It was a hybrid console, a handheld that can also be used in docked mode to be a traditional home console. It was a great success. The library grew very quickly with constant third-party support as well as amazing first-party games, which resulted in over 150 million sales, making it Nintendo's best ever performing home console. The Switch 2 had a much busier lineup compared to the Wii U, but if we break it down, is it as great as it initially looks? The main game, Mario Kart World, Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, Fast Fusion, Split Fiction, and one or two others that are not really big. But you might think, there are a couple more games that came out, why have you not mentioned them? That's because most of them are remakes of already successful Switch 1 games, like the two Zelda games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, plus many others that were just re-releases of other games or games that have already come out on consoles years ago that are now finally coming to the Switch, like Cyberpunk. When you line it up like this, it's clear that only a handful of the games are truly new. And this is very similar to some of the problems that the Wii U had, where there's nothing very exciting about the games. You can't argue that they are upgrades of the games, and they are definitely the definitive version, but what is the real pull factor? Especially the Zelda games. I mean, they are some of the most played games on Nintendo Switch, and what is the real selling point there? You're not gonna go and buy a Switch 2 because, oh my god, they have Legend of Zelda on the Switch 2. If you really want to play Legend of Zelda and you have a Switch, you could just buy it on the Switch, even though this is a more enhanced version. What is the pull? Especially for the players who have already played the games, which are very possible since it's some of the best selling ones there. If you've already played 100% of Breath of the Wild, or even just beaten the game, what is the real pull to go and buy the next console for the new game? Then again, if you did have the Switch 2, sure, why not? You'd get it. But it's not gonna make you buy the Switch 2, it's just kind of like a little bonus for having it. And that's the main problem. What is the reason to upgrade? On paper, it's got a 4K output with 60 FPS when it's in the docked mode and 1080p in handheld mode, which is an improvement of the Switch 1, even though it's trailing behind some of the bigger consoles like the PS5s and the Xbox, whatever it's called. God knows, he probably doesn't. Their main gimmick is the mouse controls. But the catch is, few games use the mouse controls. They use it like add-ons like in Mario Party Jamboree and etc. We did recently get a new game, Drag X Drive, which used those mouse controls, but no one was particularly enthralled by it. Not particularly the mouse controls, but the game itself. It was poorly done, it was boring, the art style was boring, and there was a lack of content, and after the first hour, people were over it. Some people even thought that it was quite tiring to constantly drag with a mouse. And it's very similar to the gamepad on the Wii U. It risks being a gimmick rather than a sell factor. The Wii and the Switch had massive selling points. The Wii was the first console to have motion controls and have these little gimmicky games that the whole family could play. But with the Wii U and the Switch 2, which by the way, much safer name, as boring as it is, what is the real pull factor? I'm not gonna buy a Switch 2 because it has mouse controls, but I'm gonna buy a Switch because I can use it as a home console and as handheld. A month after the release of the Nintendo Switch 2, they came out with Donkey Kong Bonanza, and that was a massive hit. It's tipped to be the game of the year. I would have had that as a launch day game. I don't know, I think it's more traditional than having Mario Kart, which people got tired of surprisingly quickly. Not sure why. I think before the release of Mario Kart, people were more hyped for it than when it actually came out. Yeah, for the first week, people were still really excited, but it's not really the topic of conversation anymore other than enthusiasts. I think even though it was quite different to other Mario Karts with this single player kind of exploration journey, it didn't really hit as much as it kind of seemed to. Not that it's going to do badly at all, but I don't think it felt the same as when you have this massive 3D exploring world game where you can all kind of talk about it for a while. The Donkey Kong hype has lasted way longer than the Mario Kart one already. One of the other problems, which is similar to the Wii, which is why these consoles are so similar, is that their previous consoles have such a wide library. I don't know why I said it like that, but they have a wide library. And including me, most players are probably thinking, why spend £400 on a new console to play 3-4 games that I actually care about when I could just stick with my Switch? There's probably hundreds of games you've not even played yet. I mean, I'm kind of new to liking or really being into Nintendo. I had a Wii growing up, but I was too young to really care about what games I was playing. And then when I finally got my Switch a couple years ago, I didn't get it on release. I got it in I think 2022. That's probably when I got it. I kind of stuck to what are they called? A-list games? I don't know. And I'm only recently discovering a lot of undercover ones like Celeste I'm playing for the first time, SteamWorld Dig, games like that. There are so many games to play. So either the Switch 2 had to be affordable so you could be like, okay, I'll upgrade because there's a couple new games coming out, or the games or the amount of games had to be insane. I think the games that they've released are pretty good. I mean, the Wii U games were pretty good as well. But I think if they really, really wanted to prevent this from being another severe loss, I would have gone extra hard on making sure there were loads of games. I mean, they've had several years. The Switch has been out for a while. What I personally would have done, because obviously I know everything, anyway, is I would have tried to work a lot earlier than maybe when they did and just try and make the most out of the new sales, because it really matters. I mean, again, the Wii U started to drop off fairly quickly and third-party people just kind of walked away. The Wii U's fate was sealed years ago. Weak lineup, poor gimmick, third-party exits, and awful sales. The Switch 2 has already outdone that. 3.5 million units sold in the first 4 days, and up till filming, about 7 million units globally. I'm sure this will overtake the Wii U. I think most things would. That's not the most important thing. It's the fact that why can't they keep on going up? At its going rate, I'd bet... Oh, what would I bet? I'd bet a tattoo. I hate tattoos. I would bet a tattoo that the Switch 2 will not outsail the Switch 1. It really could have had the potential to do that. This is just a rambling video. I have nothing backing up my points other than the fact that I am a tier 2 genius. The only tier 1 genius is Kanye West and Donald Trump, so I'm yet to get there. But let me know what you think in the comments. Make this a discussion, because after every video, I'm like, I've been an idiot. I've said some awful stuff and everyone in the comments is right. I just said comments. That is really disturbing. I'm very, very sorry for that. But yeah, I'll see you later, famalam.